Hello, sorry for the short delay in this video being made. Just had a couple of issues during the week. Hopefully we're all good to go now. Now, just want to re-emphasise at the start, just before we go into this, how important this is in terms of helping you go over these questions and make sure you understand them fully. But also being able to give really good feedback to everyone else in the class that you're marking for. Okay, so make sure you're taking your time, and if there is any mistakes or anything, try and follow through their answers and see if they've done the right thing afterwards. Okay, so what we'll do, we've got 6 questions, I think we've got 27 marks in total. I'll try and keep it relatively short. Okay, so here we've got a multinational car making company made a loss of blah 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 in 2005. Calculate the loss made by the company per minute. Okay, now the first thing here is we know that that amount there is for the whole year, and we want it per minute, so we need to know how many minutes are in a year. So 1 year is equal to 365 days. And if we times that by 24, that's 8,760 hours. And if we times that by 60, it's 5,600 minutes in a year. Okay, so that's your first mark there for knowing how many minutes are in the year. Your second mark is for then dividing that profit. Okay, if that's for a whole year, we want to know for a minute, we need to divide it up into that amount of minutes. Okay, so if they've got a sum like that, that's your second mark. And just to re-emphasise the point about carrying on marks, if they've got this mark wrong, but they've used whatever number they have here, then you can give them that mark with a little cross through the tick, like that. And it's saying that it's not right, but it's right based on their incorrect working before. And then if you work through that answer, it's 485.159 and so on. Now we want it in scientific notation, so let's do it to 3 sig figs in scientific notation. So 4.85, that'll be 2 jumps to get it there, so times 10 to the power 2, and that there, your answer is your third mark. Okay. Question 2, standard deviation, which is lovely and complicated to mark, so you'll enjoy this one. The first one you're looking for is mean and standard deviation. So the mean x bar is when you add all of them up, so 47 add 49 add everything else add 44 divided by 6. Oops, 4 there, divided by 6 is equal to 47p is your mean. Okay, now that's your first mark. I'm hoping everyone's going to get that mark in some way, shape or form. Now there's 2 ways to do standard deviation from looking at the jotters before. I think Miss Hamill taught you the way with x minus x bar, so I'm going to run through that one. If she didn't and they get the same answer, then just award all the marks. Only if they get the same answer, obviously. If not, come in and ask me after and I'll check it. So your x's are all these. I'm going to have to go a bit further down. 48 and 44. So your x minus x bars. The difference between all your x's and the mean is, well, that's the same as the mean, so that's fine. That's 2 bigger, so it's there. That's 3 bigger. That's 3 smaller, so it's minus 3. That's 1 bigger, and that's 3 smaller again, so that's minus 3. And then I take my x minus x bar squareds. So 0 squared is 0, 2 squared is 4, then 9, negative 3 squared is 9, 1 and 9. And then normally underneath that, I would do my total. Okay, I'm just going to go down a little bit here. So what I want is the total of my x minus x bar squareds, which when I add them up gives me 32. Now on your formula sheet in that 5, you don't need to remember it just now, that's the formula. Okay, that's the sum of your x minus x bar squares over n minus 1. So the sum of your x minus x bar squares, that's here, which we know now is 32, so this is the square root of 32 divided by n minus 1, which will be 5, which is 2.52982, which just rounds to 2.53. Now for marks, we've got that one for the mean. you've got, oops, what's going on there? That's mental. Your second mark is for getting your 32 at the end there. Your third mark is for subbing incorrectly to the formula, and then your fourth mark is for the correct standard deviation. Okay, now looking back to B. Okay, I'll just do B up here. Each shop increases the price of a can of Diet Coke by 4 pence. Write down without working the mean and standard deviation of the cost now. Okay, so for part B, X bar 2, what is going on here? X bar 2, so the second mean, everything's gone up by 4 pence, so on average they're gone up by 4 pence, so the mean has gone up from 47 to 51. Okay, not 31, 51, don't know what's going on with this thing, so the mean's gone up by 51 to 51 pence. Now your standard deviation is a measure of how spread out the numbers are. Okay, it's similar to range, how far apart are they? Now if they all go up by 4 pence, they're all going to be the same distance from each other, so the standard deviation isn't actually going to change. Okay, so that's going to stay as 2.53, and for that one there, you're getting a mark for knowing that the mean's going up to 51 pence, and a mark for knowing the standard deviation stays the same. Okay, so can you mark that there? Right, question 3. We've got Neru's earning £26,500 per annum. She agrees a pay deal with her employer which will see her get a pay rise of 4.6 per annum for each of the next 4 years. What will Neru's earn in 4 years' time? Okay, now there's a really easy way to do this. She's starting on 26,500, so that's what your sum starts with. She's getting a pay rise of 4.6%, so her new pay will be 104.6% of what she had originally. So I'm going to turn that into a decimal by dividing by 100. It's going to be times 1.046. That 1.046 gets you your first mark. Because it's happening for the next 4 years, it's going to be to the power 4. That gets you your second mark. And then if you equals it, 31,722.88027 because it's money, it'll have to be to 2 decimal places. That 0 will round down, so that is your answer there, and that's your third mark. It should be nice and easy. If they've done it the long way and they're getting somewhere near this answer, it's going to be fine, but you can check their working and see if they're on the right track. But I want everyone to work on doing it this way because it will save you so much time in an exam that you're working on. That's what school would be starting. Okay, so the 70 degrees is missing on the worksheet. I missed that out when I made it up. Apologies. Now you're looking at the volume of a prism. You know the volume of any prism, regardless of what this cross section is going to be the area of that cross section times by the height. So we know already that this height is going to be 17. We just need to know what the area is. Now that shape is one of our sectors from our arcs and sectors topic, which we know we find by doing theta over 360 times pi r squared. So theta is 70, so it's 70 over 360 times pi times 14 squared. You get that line of working correct, that's your first mark. And for running through it, it's going to be 119.7295 and so on. If you've got that anywhere, take your second mark. Okay, now we know what that area is. Do the 119.7295, etc. Times by the height, which is our 17. I'm just going to move that wee dot from there just because I don't want it looking like it's squared. And then that becomes 2035.402. And so on, which can round to 2035 centimeters cubed. Okay, your third mark there will be then going and using the volume formula correctly, and then your fourth mark there is for your answer. Now, in there, I know I've done the big ugly number. Some people may have rounded that. That's fine. Just double check your calculator that they're doing it correctly. The answer's right. I think it's quite nice there if you use the answer button. So you're just using your unrounded answer from your calculator and just multiplying it by 17. Okay, so that's question 4. How are we doing for time? Not too bad, not too bad. Now here, for part A, okay, that 2a minus b squared means 2a minus b multiplied by 2a minus b plus 4ab. When you use your rainbows, that's going to be 4a squared. And then we're going to have two lots of minus 2ab. So minus 2ab minus 2ab. And then the last one's going to be negative b times negative b, so that's a positive b squared. This plus 4ab at the end, not part of the bracket, so that's going to stay. If you've got this bracket multiplied correctly, that's your first mark. And then your second mark in here is for simplifying. So we have 4a squared. No more 4a squared. So that's just going to stay there. Then we've got minus 2ab minus 2ab. So that's me at minus 4ab. Adding on 4ab then gets me back to 0. So they're going to totally disappear. And then in here, we've got plus b squared left over. So it's 4a squared plus b squared. And if you get to that point, that's your second mark. Okay, now for part B, okay, I'm just going to do it underneath. Part B, we have a slightly more complicated version of our rainbows from above, but that's fine. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is multiply the 3x by everything. Boom, boom, boom. So that's going to be 3x cubed plus 6x squared minus 3x. If you've got that first set of things multiplied out, give yourself a mark. Then you're doing negative 6. Careful of that negative. Negative 6 times x squared is negative 6x squared. Negative 6 times positive 2x is negative 12x. And negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. Okay, if you multiply that second half of that equation out, that's perfect for your second mark. So we're fine again, equals 3x cubed, no more x cubes going on there. I've got a 6x squared, but later on I'm taking away a 6x squared, so that disappears. Minus 3x minus another 12x will be negative 15x, and then the plus 6 is the only constant value. So that's your third mark there. Okay, one more question, which is our equations with fractions, which we're doing really well with in the class, but it's always nice to go back to because it can be a little bit tricky. Okay, so for part A there, I've got thirds and I've got halves. So to get rid of thirds and halves, I multiply by 6. Okay, and when I multiply by 6, that first term there, you're going to multiply by 6, but you've got to divide by 3 in the bottom. So that's the same as times them by 2. So it's going to be 2 multiplied by the bracket of 2x minus 1. The x minus 2, when you multiply it by 6, you're times by 6, but you're dividing by 2, so that's the same as multiplying by 3, so it's 3 times the x on the top, and then 1 times 6 on the top line is going to give me 6. Okay, if you get to there, that's your first mark. Okay, then we're breaking out the brackets, so 4x minus 2 minus 3x equals 6, and then your 4x minus 3x will give you x minus 2 is equal to 6. If you can get to that point as well, that's your second mark, and then add 2 to both sides, x equals 8. That's your third mark. Quite a nice mark actually, quite an easy one at the end there. For part B, we're getting rid of quarters, so we're going to multiply it by 4. Okay, when you multiply 3 quarters by 4, it just leaves you with 3. Okay, so it's 3, and then the brackets are still going to be, right, my calibration's off somehow. Give me 2 secs. What a nightmare this week. So when you multiply that by 4, that gives you 3, and then the bracket's going to be 2x minus 5. When you multiply the 1 by 4, that's 4, and when you multiply the x by 4, that's 4x. Okay, so first mark there, I'm multiplying to that point, and coming out the brackets is 6x minus 15 plus 4 is equal to 4x. And then when you do your negative 15, add 4, that's a negative 11, so 6x minus 11 is equal to 4x. Give yourself a mark for that. And then take away 4x from both sides, add 11 to both sides. That's going to be 2x equals 11, which means x is 11 over 2 or 5.5. Okay, and that's your last mark there. Now I'm totaling that at 27. Okay, so after the person's finished the homework, can you give them a total out of 27? And can you give them 2 stars and a wish as well? So give them a star, a positive comment. Stuff would be your work with the volume question was excellent. Solving equations really worked well. Your standard deviation was good. And then give them a wee wish. Okay, like one thing they could have done better. And then when you bring it back in next Tuesday, I'll take it all back in and I'll put them in the spreadsheet. Okay, if you get any issues with marking, what you could do for me is take a photo of it and put it on Edmodo, and I'll get back to you with what I think it should get, and I'll explain it for everyone on Edmodo. Hopefully that will help us. Okay, thanks. Give us a shout, you need a hand in. Bye. Bye.